What do you want to be when you grow up?
A fireman. Like at the fireman.
Why do you want to be a fireman?
To help people.
What did you want to be when you were growing up?
Well, back in my day, when I was a young little boy, I wanted to be a firefighter back then.
Has that changed since then?
Yes,
What do you want to be now?
coal miner.
Thank you.
I'm Tim Smith. I'm the fire chief at Vincennes Township Fire District. So I started out as a junior firefighter at the age of 16. And as a junior firefighter, I began training to be a certified firefighter at 18. And I could go on calls and participate in training, but I couldn't actually do any of the firefighting. And then I became a volunteer firefighter at age 18, completed my certifications as a firefighter and as an emergency medical technician. Later, I became certified as a paramedic, eventually rose through the ranks to be the fire chief.
Joe Heron, Chief Ranger at George Rogers Clark National Historical Park. Started right out of college. Actually, I was on the maintenance crew, so I would mow lawns kind of right out of school. Then I was able to get into the park ranger career path, mostly doing tours. For a while, I was a wildland firefighter when I was a lot younger. I'd moved to a couple of different national parks, and I settled here in 2015.
We're an emergency service provider, a first response 911 agency. Primarily, we have certified firefighters and certified emergency medical technicians at varying levels. We do have some administrative folks that do paperwork kind of things and clerical and administrative work. I think that a career in the fire service or public safety, I should say, is very rewarding. It's a job that I think people look forward to going to because it is not doing the same thing over and over and over again. It can be completely different. Not only is it exciting, but it's rewarding, and it's just a good public service occupation.
There's so much diversity with Park Service. You have people who can use applied sciences, or you have people with liberal arts degrees, history. They're able to interpret some of the presidential sites, civil rights sites. We cover everything from the Statue of Liberty to the Grand Canyon to Yellowstone, Yosemite.
Can you talk a little bit about the education that's required for some of these positions?
At the bare minimum, look for a bachelor's degree for most entry-level jobs.
There are certain college degrees that are available and certainly help with the promotional and hiring processes, but it is not required at the entry level. In Indiana, there is Indiana Fire Academy that's supported by the state of Indiana Department of Homeland Security and funded through tax dollars. So firefighter training and certification is free in the state of Indiana, and typically you are required to have Firefighter 2 certification and basic EMT to get hired as a rookie firefighter.
The wait on getting a seasonal job is not so hard. There are several openings if you're willing to move across country, but getting a permanent job with Park Service can take a lot of time. 3 to 4 years is a normal wait, and people sometimes will jump from one coast to the other, or even up to Alaska or Hawaii just to get the right job.
It took me several years. I kind of progressed through the system. When I first became the fire chief, I was a volunteer fire chief. I worked in a family business here in town, and fortunately that allowed me to be a little more flexible with my time that was needed at the volunteer fire department. And it got to the point where it was just more and more time needed all the time in the responsibility of the fire chief. So they made it full-time, a full-time fire chief's position. And I had to make a decision then on whether I was staying doing what I was doing full time, or if I was moving to the fire department. And I love the fire department, so it was a pretty easy decision for me, and I moved. I have been fortunate to be the fire chief for a long time, which is somewhat unusual in Indiana, especially in cities and towns. They change more often than they do. I report to a board instead of a single person, so that's why I've been able to have the longevity I've had as the fire chief.
Right now, the biggest thing, if you want to pursue something in the National Park Service, is to find what your niche is, be it sciences, be it history, culture, and try to become an authority on that. Learn everything there is to learn about it, and find the park site that's going to be a good fit for you.
Well, if they're looking for a career in the fire service, I would encourage them to be part of the work-based learning program here at Lincoln High School. I think that experience that they gain at a young age shapes their whole career. You know, being a career firefighter is maybe different than many occupations because shift career firefighters, the folks on the street work 24-hour shifts. And that's something that takes some getting used to, both for that person that's the firefighter and for their families. They're gone from home for 24 hours at a time. Sure, the family can come visit once, you know, I mean, they can't hang out the whole shift, but they can come and eat dinner or whatever. But being gone for 24 hours is a little bit different than most occupations. But you know, you have to adjust to missing birthdays and Christmas morning and many events, sporting events, musicals, things like that you miss.